Amen. Good message. That's right. There's nothing finer than talking about a mule, but there's nothing better than talking about my Savior.
All right. Now, can y'all hear me? Let's see. I can see you talking. Steve, go ahead and say something for me.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, there we go. Let's see if that works, guys.
There we go.
There, you know what? Internet, it's just trying to keep up with us. We're moving so fast.
There
We got to
you
keep that
go.
internet up with us. Okay, there we go. Sorry about the delay there. Let me just say real quick, thank you for being here. We know you could be doing a lot of different things with your time. We're grateful that you're here. First thing, your name, where you're watching from, what the weather's like. Second thing, any and every mule question you've got, put it in the comment section. Doesn't matter if we've answered it already. There's people watching who haven't heard it, and there's people listening who are going to hear it again, but from a different angle, a little bit of a nuance. Third, we ask that you share the broadcast. If you're watching on Facebook, type that @ symbol and then a person's name. Let them know that you have discovered the best kept secret in all of the equine world. And when 4th of July comes around here, or when Memorial Day comes around and you're all getting together with friends and family, and they find out that you've been listening to Steve Edwards every single week and you didn't tell them about that, you can avoid that awkward situation altogether. Be like, I am so glad you told me about that. You say, you know what? I was thinking about you the whole time. That's what you say. Steve, I'm going to go ahead and get started here saying hello to everybody. We've got Hannah watching from Dunalon, Florida. We've got Naomi watching. We've got Levi watching. We've got Filmer of Bobcats. I think that's Samantha. I can't remember what Filmer of Bobcats' name is. I think it's Samantha. I can't remember for sure, but it's good to have you here. We've got Patty watching. We've got Roger watching. Eileen is here. Nebraska, 70 degrees and sunny. Cindy is watching. Laurel is watching. Let's see here. Levi is watching from Albert County, New Brunswick, Canada. International. Says much better for audio, Dave. There we go. Jackie is watching. Warren is watching. We've got Kiki watching from Southern Oregon. Lisa, Filmer of Bobcats, is Lisa. There we go. Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate that. Myra's watching from Southern California. We've got Jackie from Placitas, New Mexico, 80 degrees and sunny. Laurel is watching from Northern California. And our first question of the day comes from Lisa. She says, what is the best way to meet and bond with a new and unfamiliar mule you are going to buy? Good question, Steve.
Well, you're going to buy it. So let's just do this. You go to buy it and you walk on the place and it's already saddled, ready to go. Turn around, climb back in your car. What do I mean by that? Listen, you want to see everything from them going to get them in the corrals to putting them back in the corrals. So they go and get them out of the corrals. What's it look like? Leading them from A to B. What's it look like? Tying them, standing quiet. What's it look like? All that. Now, the bonding part. Don't put your hand out and say, give me a floppy. Don't do that. Don't be giving them treats, stuff like that. The best thing you can do is to take and watch that person working with that mule, and you see everything done, and then you go back and do that same thing. All right? All the way up to riding. Now, this does not mean riding, go on a trail ride, follow one in behind the other. Don't do that. In a 10-foot circle, that rider that's selling that mule should in a 10-foot circle show you how well that mule is trained. Going out on a trail ride, folks, doesn't show you how well that mule is trained. Don't mean diddly. Doesn't mean a thing. Any mule can do that. I can take a mule after my first ride, 1 hour ride if I want to, that has never been ridden before, and put them out there on that trail, and mules shine. That's another story. Let's go back. So bonding, the bonding is going to be not only how's it going with that person, but now it's your turn. You're not bonding. You are the herd leader. Bonding is between you and your dog, you and your friends and stuff like this. Mules, donkeys, horses, they look for a leader. Be a leader first. Learn how to ask, tell, demand. Learn how to make them comfortable, uncomfortable. When you become a leader, things change. That bonding will naturally start coming in, because here's what a leader does. It shows this mule, this donkey, this is what we're going to be doing, and that's what you need to be.
That's awesome. Yeah. So we're getting a new article put together. The last one we did with Steve was how to buy a mule and donkey on Craigslist or auction, and it's kind of a little trick there. You gotta read that whole article. You'll be glad that you did. I put it in the comment section. We've got a new one that we're working on, Steve, and I'm going to have someone from our team give you a call. We're working on an article talking all about working with animals that have been designated for the kill pen. We've got a lot of folks who are going and, I'm going to put quotes, rescuing animals from the kill pen, mules and donkeys from the kill pen, and they just don't know what they're about to get themselves in for, and a lot of them wind up getting in over their heads. So we're putting an article together. If someone has not quite yet decided to rescue from a kill pen, some things to consider, and for those who have already rescued from a kill pen, some things that they need to know. But inside of that, one of the sections that we're talking about is what you said, Steve. These are not dogs. If you're looking for companionship, if you're looking for a friend, those are good things. Like, we want those things, you know? How many years have you and Susan been married now?
52.
52 years. 52 years of companionship with another human being. That's something that's amazing. Sandra and I are celebrating 15. So just flip those around a little bit, the 2 a 1, switch them around. 15 years. That companionship is fantastic. And then bringing in an animal and having that type of companionship as well with an animal is great. The mules and the donkeys, they're not meant for that. They were created differently. They were made differently. And it can be a relationship, right, Steve? A working relationship, but not necessarily companionship. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. I had a lady tell me, my mule loves me. She'll do anything for me, and she doesn't really want to take and spend time with other people. I said, oh, really? Oh, okay. 15 minutes later, that mule didn't want to go near her. And all I did was set up to show people that, not that, I don't want to take away that, yes, Man, I love petting and scratching on a mule. I like that, okay? But you must be a leader or that mule will take advantage of you. I was talking to a lady the other day, just yesterday. And I get people unhappy with things. Okay, if you're unhappy with me, tell me. I'll come to you. I'll call you. I'll beg for forgiveness, whatever. But let's fix it. Well, this donkey had the best of her. And you know what she did? She listened to all the people on the internet that says, oh, don't hit that donkey. That donkey will wait all its life to get even with you. Baloney. Don't listen to that kind of garbage. You become the herd leader. And I told her, and I've told you all the story. This story is simple. This mare is out in the corrals, out in the pasture with other animals. That's where they are, okay? And a new animal comes in. She pins her ears. She asks, don't come no closer. She pins her ears and switches her tail. She tails, and now she demands, and then she spins and kicks. Now listen, folks, you can't do that in a bonding situation. But if you don't do it in an equine position, you will be the bottom of the pecking order. And like this lady I talked to yesterday, the donkey was starting to rear up at her and paw at her, And I said, you know what? If it done that to me, I'm telling you, folks, I know some ain't going to like this, but I'd slap her with a 2x4 upside of the head. I'd find the biggest thing I could because, you see, it's nothing like a kick from another animal. You get kicked by an animal, folks. I mean, some of you don't know what it's like. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be kicked. I got this place right here to be kicked, and I lost the sight of this eye a little bit for it. And I've been kicked in my thigh. I've been kicked, all right? It don't feel good. Now, can you imagine if you get kicked, it's going to hurt. So you do what you got to do to make sure this animal says, you are my herd leader. That's what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great question there, Lisa. Appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see here. Warren is watching from Prescott Valley, 82 degrees and clear. Went for a nice 2-hour ride today. Hey, you know what? That makes me think. Steve, I forgot to mention anything. Last Thursday, we had an awesome time with Bernie Harberts talking all about his cross-country trip from, I think it was North Carolina, I think it was, all the way to Idaho. Just an awesome conversation. Folks, if
great.
you weren't there live watching, you've got to get the replay. And I'm going to have a link. I don't have it ready today, but I'm going to have it ready in the next couple days. I'll put a link in the comment section where you can sign up to get notifications for these live stream events right here. And then when the link is live for folks to go and watch the Bernie Harberts replay, you'll get that as well. But it was just fantastic. So we're calling that event, we're calling it how to transition from a day ride to a cross-country adventure. And so it was just a lot of fun. James is watching from Western Maryland, rain and 46 degrees. Haley and let's see, Steve, Haley and Mark Williams from Virginia watching. It has been rainy here today. Cindy is watching from Tennessee, 70 degrees, sunny and breezy. Loving my mule. Have camped and ridden 60 days in the last 3 months. Montana is a rock star on the trail. Becomes a crazed maniac if left at a camp by herself. Sounds like you got a good one there. Yolanda is watching. Please send some sunshine to the Netherlands and warm weather because it is cold. Yolanda, sending it to you. Hannah is watching, and she says, we have a Pasofino mule. Do we treat him like a horse, or do we treat him like a mule? His thought process is very much like our miniature donkey. Steve, what is a Pasofino mule, and do you treat him like a horse or treat him like a mule?
Okay, your Pasofino mule, they have a very unique way of animation in their legs, okay? Paso and fino, okay? That's two different words, and it basically means they use their front end and their back end for their going down the trail. And they're an excellent riding animal. They're very, very fast, extremely fast. But you don't treat them like a horse. You don't treat them like a mule. Don't treat them like a donkey. You treat them like all of them. There's going to be times that you're going to say, man, you're stubborn. No, that's the donkey side saying, I don't think we need to be doing that until I've got more details. Or man, that thing's sure fast. That would be called the horse side. And I'm just giving you some overviews. And then here comes the poetry. When the donkey and the horse come together, it's poetry. It's called mule, M-U-L-E, a 4-letter word. Yes. And when the poetry comes together, the downside, folks, is that most horse people don't understand the mule because they don't understand the donkey. The donkey. Most folks don't spend enough time around donkeys to really know. And what little bit they have, they think, oh boy, okay. But now listen, Mr. Donkey, you learn to train a donkey. You learn to work around a donkey, you can work around almost any equine. It's amazing because donkeys make you think. There you are.
Very good. Thank you so much for that question, Hannah. Moving right along, Cindy says, she paces and paws and digs till she hits a rock. I have to tie her down until she calms down, begins again. As soon as she's untied, I'm no longer her leader when the others leave the camp. So she's taken her. They're going on these trips, but when it's just her at the camp, she's pacing, pawing, digging until she hits a rock, tied down. What can Cindy do to help with this behavior when she's not around?
Well, unfortunately, folks, when you have an equine, you have the herd mentality. The herd mentality. They have safety in their herds. They also have best friends in that herd. And then we start thinking, okay, all we have to do is move her 25 miles away. She'll be fine. No. She will find another equine to want to try to be around. What would I do? I would take advantage of this and I would train. This is what I would do. I would take my surf single and with my breeching, and I would put my mule rider's martingale on, and I would let her go to work. Actually, I would use my halter to start with, my adjusted halter, because mules care more about their nose than they do their mouth. So while she's doing all the pawing and moving around, guess what she's doing? She's moving her head. And if she's moving her head, she's throwing her head in the air. And if she throws her head in the air and she bumps that halter, oh boy, it bumps her halter and starts making her soft and starts making her thinking about respecting that halter. When she moves to the left, it'll bump her. Moves to the right, it'll bump her. When she moves back, it'll bump her. So she'll start learning by you leaving her alone, she'll start learning that moving around is going to make her extremely uncomfortable. Now, here's the next part I do, and I will also, after I've done it a while, she starts getting quiet and started being consistent in the halter and starting to be quiet. Then I'll put my mule rider's martingale on, and now she has the halter and she has the martingale. Now, every time she throws her nose out, it's going to bump her mouth. Every time she goes to the left, she's going to bump her mouth. Going to the right, she's going to bump her mouth. In other words, take advantage of this and train. Take advantage and train. She's going to paw. All right, here's the next part. Oh, hey, you know what, Dave? I sent you a picture of this.
Yeah?
The new hobble.
Oh, yeah. Let me get that.
Yeah. Now, folks, this hobble was something that Abe Hewitt and I developed 30-some years ago. Abe Hewitt is a great man. He packed for the Canadian service, and he was always thinking about how to make things better and how to do things better and this sort of thing. Well, I don't need to hear that. Uh-oh. Got a brush fire up in Superior. They'll be calling us out next. I'm glad the show is going to be over in about an hour. Anyway, we'll see what happens here. Let's go on. And so this hobble was what we designed, and there's no buckles or anything. You don't have to worry about getting muddy and getting nasty and have to maintain it. This hobble is a great hobble. Now, what would I do with this hobble? I would attach a chain, which you're going to be seeing in the future on my website, and it is to stop pawing. Now, I shouldn't say stop pawing. Train the mule not to paw in this spot. In this spot. So every time the mule paws, the chain hits the mule's cannon bone and makes him uncomfortable, and that helps the pawing. Now, why are they pawing? I want something. And what this mule wants is to be out of there. They will dig, they will paw, they will move around. So take advantage of this, because here's the downside, folks. This kind of a mule, which is pretty much all of them, will have this kind of attitude at times, especially high-strung mules like a Pasolfino, okay? This kind of a mule will, especially if they've been able to get away with it in the past, they'll keep on doing it. Here's the downside. They'll do the same thing out on a trail. I can't tell you how many mules I have trained over the years that people says I can't control him on a trail, you know? Well, if you go back to your groundwork, do your ground foundation, take your come-along rope, do come-along work, do surcingle work, but go back to your ground foundation.
Awesome. Yeah, folks can see that. Folks can see that hobble there. We're going to be getting those up on the Queen Valley Mule Ranch store very soon here. Pretty cool. Folks have been asking for those. We've had more and more folks asking about hobbles, and so we're happy to make that happen. Let's continue on here. We've got Bonnie. This is cool, Steve. Bonnie's watching from Indiana. Sunny, 61. First big trail ride a couple of days ago. Lily did great with all of Steve's advice. No girth sores. Finally. That's what we like to hear right there. That's what we want to hear. And you know what? Ain't the first time, and we're so grateful that it ain't going to be the last. Y'all keep showing up for these events. Y'all keep letting Steve share with you, and y'all keep getting results. We love that. Let's see. Oh, Lisa says she's got 2 friends who have been married 75 years. How awesome is that? That is fantastic.
Oh, awesome.
That's wonderful. Yolanda says a mule is a lifetime commitment, not a slice of cream butter to throw away when melted down forever. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Lisa asked the question, what is the best way to establish leadership with your brand new mule? Now, Steve, before you answer, we actually had a couple come out about 5 years ago to Queen Valley Mule Ranch for that exact thing. They wanted to establish leadership in their working relationship with their animal. They needed to become the herd leader. I just put a link in the comment section to the videos from their visit. Y'all can go and watch those. They're free. That's our favorite 4-letter word around here. That is DJ Donkey's 4-letter F word. So free. That's right. DJ Donkey dropping some F-bombs. So anyways, y'all can go check that out. Steve, maybe just give a couple quick pointers, because what she's going to want to see is going to be in that playlist. Give a couple quick pointers of, just mentality when you're going in to establish leadership.
Well, for one thing, you want to be square-shouldered, looking straight ahead. If I'm walking toward my mule, and all of a sudden I look down to see where I'm stepping maybe, and then I look back up, I just ask for permission to go into that mule's area. That's what I did. See, you don't think about this stuff. Little things like this. When you look down, look back up, you just ducked your head and licked your lips to that mule. And the next part, folks, is Yep, I am called to fire. Mutual aid. There we are. All right.
For those who don't know, Steve is a volunteer firefighter for Queen Valley in Arizona. So he had to go through certification, does regular training exercises, and when he's not talking with us, he's out answering that call right there. So that's why he gets it. That's why it comes through. Steve, continuing on, establishing leadership.
Okay, so the come-along hitch, folks, is what's going to establish it. You're going to do it as you see this couple do it. You'll see how they get results really quick. But folks, if you want to communicate to a mule or donkey, hear this, mule or donkey, you've got to use the come-along hitch. And please watch the video, watch the video, watch the video, watch the video. I do this for you, so I don't just give you this halter and this lead rope and all this sort of thing and say, okay, now go figure it out. No, I want you to see it. What you see this buckaroo doing in Montana is building a foundation. That's what's happening. And if you will follow those simple rules there, you got her made. You'll do it. But until you are able to go around in the circles and do as I'm showing in there, you can't go straight. You can't go off and go leading, because this animal will jerk away from you. If you can't control and do it correctly in the circles, then don't go out there, because all you're going to do is make, like this lady I talked to yesterday. She was really upset. She says, your come-along rope didn't work. I said, oh, really? Oh, well, tell me what happened. Well, when I bumped it, it didn't do a thing. It just stood there. And I said, did you do ask, tell, demand? No, what's that? Okay, there we are, folks. Look, this works. The animal understands it. It's not difficult and it's not harmful to them. It works. So give it a try. That's what I would do.
One of the things that Bernie said, so again, Bernie, we had a conversation last Thursday, and Bernie went from North Carolina all the way to Idaho with his 2 mules, using Steve's saddles, Steve's pack, or Steve's gear, tack, and etc. And folks were very concerned about how do you manage nutrition, how do you manage forage on that type of a trip. Do you have to do drops? How do you make sure they get enough water? And I was thinking that was probably going to be the most difficult thing. Well, that's not what Bernie said. Bernie said the most difficult thing of the trip was dealing with the traffic. He says it didn't matter how much we had trained. He says you just cannot desensitize for it. And that's the big word that everybody wants to say. Oh, I've desensitized. I've desensitized them. I've desensitized. Steve, it's like you said, do you have a bear in your backyard that you can desensitize to? Nope. Do you have a rattlesnake in your part of the country that you can desensitize to when you're traveling? Nope. You have to come out here to Arizona. But even then, do you have a bobcat, a mountain lion that you can desensitize to? No. Do you have an elephant? No. Do you have a 18-wheeler? Nope.
That's it. Yeah.
The thing is it's establishing communication, herd leadership, having control, and being prepared to do right, left, and have the animal respond in that moment. And so it's one of these deals where the come along, it's going to work if you're willing to put in the work. If you're willing to watch the video and work on your time, and we see it all the time, folks coming out here, it's getting it on, and then it's doing the timing and reacting and responding in the mule's time. So very good. Great question. Y'all keep bringing them. Bill is watching. Ohio, it's morning. And he says, rain this morning, sunshine in the afternoon, 62 degrees. Jerry is watching. Geraldine from Fort Benton Mountain, 66 degrees. Just finished driving my mule team today for the first time this spring. Silly Sally, who I normally have problems with, did much better. Working on the come along rope has really helped. There you hear it, folks. Eric Whedon. Eric and Ethel watching from Nashville, Indiana. Hi, Steve and Dave. Good to have you here, Eric and Ethel. So glad you joined us. Jerry says, hey, Jerry here again. My new saddle for riding is supposed to be delivered this afternoon. Cannot hardly wait to give it a try. We would love to hear how things go, Jerry. Keep us in the loop. Cindy says, I'm looking for actions I should take to curtail this behavior when she's left at camp. We talked about that, Cindy. If you have any follow-ups, let us know. Fiona says it's cool and 10 degrees Celsius in Cressy, Victoria, Australia. International again. Good to have you here, Fiona. Thanks for spending your morning with us. David is watching from Port Angeles, Washington. It's 54 degrees. Splitting firewood today. Very good. Jack is watching from Johannesburg. Sun finally broke through this afternoon, about 50 degrees. My mule got new shoes today with no fussing, thanks to working with the come along rope. My farrier was grateful. We love hearing that, Jack. That is fantastic. Let's see here. Hannah says, thank you for answering. Now I know I'm on the right track. We love it. Let's see here. Steve is your must go to. We all understand, Yolanda says. There we go. Yolanda holding down the very unofficial Queen Valley Mule Ranch, Netherlands region. Thank you very much, Yolanda. Cindy is watching. Thanks, Steve. I will get that hobble. We'll get it up soon and we'll send out an email, Cindy. Misty is watching from Signal Mountain, Tennessee, sunny and 70. Hi, friends. Gonna go come along with my mule when you're done increasing my knowledge about the best animals in the world. We love hearing that. All right. Lisa's got lots of questions. Lisa, we're so glad that you're here and we love getting these questions. We've got so many folks who are getting their first time around with a mule or a donkey, and these are really, really helpful. Lisa says, how can I train my donkey or mule to tolerate and not harm my own personal dog? Steve, you've got a dog. This is something you've dealt with, and we've talked about it a lot. This is going to be very helpful for Lisa to know. Steve, share with Lisa what she needs to know about this.
Okay, Lisa, I've been using dogs understand, folks, that dog is a predator. Your mule, your donkey is a prey animal. And you'll get some of them more aggressive than others. Okay? But let me tell you, you are not going to be able to train your mule to accept your dog. It ain't gonna happen. Okay? Will they? Can you hear this? You, with your timing, tell the mule, tell the donkey, you are not going to mess with that dog. It's going to be uncomfortable for you to do. Yes, you can. Comfortable, uncomfortable, ask, tell, demand. Okay, what would I do? I would now, my border collie's got a hand on him. So he understands there, down, come by, away. He understands get out, okay? He is a pretty decently trained animal. Set, stay, that sort of thing. If you do not have a dog that you do not have a handle on, that is basically Mr. Fluffy and won't be petted all the time, he's got a good chance of getting a hoof across his head, okay? Because they don't know this animal is a big prey animal that's going to stomp him in the ground. So what would I do? I would take, and I've done this before with my border collies, I put come along hitch on them. You hear that? Come along hitch. Go to. If you want to tell your mule, your donkey, and your horse, you want to tell them that this is correct and this is not correct, then you've got to use the come along hitch, because the nose is what you're telling. Don't do that. When you bump their nose, then they know that what they're thinking is correct. Understand, it is natural for them to attack a predator. Why do you think they use donkeys with sheep? Why do you think they use donkeys? Hear that? Donkeys, not mules, and with cattle, because a donkey is a natural protector. What's half of that mule? The donkey. So let's go on. I would have that dog I would tell him to go out and go away from me. As soon as the mule toward that dog, I'd bump him. I mean, I would give him some short reps. And then I would tell my dog, away, come by. In other words, go right, go left. And then when I'd done that, if they went to watch him, I'd bump them. Okay? In other words, they need to understand that when they're paying attention to that dog and not paying attention to me, the herd leader, is going to make them uncomfortable. Period. That's what's going to happen. So that's what you need to do. If you've got a dog that's underneath that mule's feet, you got a chance to get your dog stomped in the mud. Now, I'll tell you a story. A year ago, maybe a little bit longer now, we was moving cows. I was riding a real nice mule down to Andromeda. And a nice mule. I mean, this mule is like 18 years old, has been around dogs all his life, down there with Randy, and been seeing cows and everything. Now we're riding along. All of a sudden, my border collie puppy comes from behind, through some brush, and goes right by that mule. Now that mule has seen him. Guess what? That mule that day is kind of like Rip with his cattle. That mule that day, all of a sudden, that dog went by. It scared that mule, jumped up in the air, and he kicked that thing. And when he jumped up in the air, it was the same as a good buck. And I mean, tell you, it hurt. It was serious. But he kicked at the dog. Well, what happened? Well, it startled him. That's why I tell you, don't be careful with your kids around these mules, because they've got a chance of getting themselves hurt. Just being startled. Flight and fright kicks in. The mule, if he can't run, because when he jumped, I went right, left. So what did he do next? He couldn't flight, so he fought. Bang, with a kick. That's what he did. All right? Now, if I would have let him take off running, he probably wouldn't have kicked at my dog, but then I'd have had a runaway to take care of. So anyway, going back, you folks, this is what is natural to this prey animal, is to protect themselves. You cannot change it, but it's up to you to have the timing to fix it as soon as it becomes a problem.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you so much, Lisa, for asking that question. Janet says, I have a 2 to 3 year old mule, have been working with him for a while now. I stopped working with him about a month, went out to see him. He didn't want much to do with me. What do I do now?
Okay, start all over again. Start from your ground up. Listen, somewhere in your foundation, you missed out. You missed the point. When you're building a foundation of 3, 6, 9, 12, 3 today, and then a couple days later, or maybe a week later, you do those 3. If they do it like you want it, then you add 3 more. Now you got 6. 2 or 3 days later, a week later, you do those 6, and if they do them the way you like them, and they're more consistent, you do 3 more. Now 9. You got the idea? But here's what happens. All too many folks just kind of relax, and they don't go the 3, 6, 9, and 12, and they accept a lower thought of good rather than bring them up the ladder. So anytime you have a fallback, always go back to your foundation. Now, I'm not sure if you're using the come along hitch or the surcingle or the rope halter or whatever. And let me know if you are, so then I can help you. But there you are, folks. Anytime you have one that gets to where it wants nothing to do with you and this sort of thing, somewhere in your foundation, you missed a spot.
Yep, and it's good to know so you can get back there and have at it. I put a link for the Ground Foundation starting kit in the comments section. Folks, we don't really come on here and say you need to buy this, you need to buy that, you need to spend money here, you need to spend money there. I mean, sometimes that's the answer, right? If we're talking about feed and we say you need Lake and Light pellets, it's going to cost some money, right? Feed costs money. A lot of what we do, we send to free videos, free articles, free resources, and of course, what we do right here every Wednesday is free. Here's the deal. The only thing that we emphasize that folks bite the bullet, do whatever they can to get their hands on is the come-along rope with the adjustable rope halter and the problem mule building a new foundation video. The reason why is because those 3 items in your toolbox help you gain the trust of your animal and get results with your training. That's it. And those are 3 tools that you are going to continue to come back and use over and over again. Have trouble getting the mule to hold their foot up for shoeing? Come along rope. Having trouble getting the mule to get away from you in your space? Come along rope. Yank them. Get them out of your space. Timing. Whatever it is you're trying to get your animal to do, the come-along rope, rope halter are going to be part of the solution. So with that in mind, we put them together in a bundle. We put a little discount on it to make it appeal to you to say, okay, I'll go ahead and do it, and we did it for you. We want you to have those tools because that's what's going to help you be a success. So
the other
great.
tool you need.
Go ahead.
Come-along coffee.
And you need the come-along coffee, right? Those are tools in your toolbox. And the come-along coffee is the tool in your kitchen to make sure you got what it takes to get out there and get results. Janet is watching, says, I'm very new to this sort of thing. Oh, she had that question, very new to this sort of thing. We're so glad that you're here, Janet. Any and every question you got, we are here to help. Everyone will tell you. We don't hold back here. We'll tell you exactly what you need to know. Hey, Linda is here. Finally, Linda, we were waiting on you. Linda the Mule Servant and Theo the Sweet One-Eyed Mule in chilly, sunny Central Ohio. Rural Central Ohio. Linda, come on now. Come on now. I filled it in there for you. Cowboy Ken is watching from Connecticut, 59 degrees and drizzling. Lisa says, I rode a friend's mule when we saw a cougar. Her horse ran all the way back to the house, 3 miles away. The mule bolted and ran about 100 yards. Saw the lion, was gone. Went back to a comfortable walk. Hey, that's the thing. You never know when that stuff's going to happen. You never know what you're going to see. Matter of fact, Steve, I heard you say this. Wasn't it? Was it Stacy or was it Pearl? It was one of them, and you were riding them in your backyard, the glorious desert mountain region, and you'd been riding the same, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been riding the same area, and for some reason this mule, your mule, saw a rock that had been there every single ride, but decided that rock was going to pop out this time and be a monster. Am I recalling that correct?
Yeah, it was actually, well, I've had a lot of those rock monsters. Actually, the stump is my biggest thing.
There you go.
It was coming out of the gate, and I was riding training on a mule, and that stump, they've gone by that stump 1,000 times. But today, a little weed was moving in the wind, and they caught that weed. And that's buggered them.
You didn't desensitize to a little weed blowing in the wind? You didn't do that?
What am I thinking? Oh, gee whiz. Yeah.
Add that to the list of 2,607,223 items that you got to desensitize to.
That's right.
Let's see here. Brad and Carmen are watching 50 degrees in Nanton, Alberta. International again. Steve, I need another 10 feet on my come-along rope when my mule takes off on me. Oh, my goodness, Steve, do we need more?
Wow.
Do we need more length?
Well, I mean, that means your timing is not there. That also means you didn't do enough of the go around in the circles, okay? Because if you need another 10 feet, that means you did not time it right. Now, if you have to, add another come along to it and you'll do it. But you don't need to do that. It's got to be your timing, folks. If your timing is good with the come along hitch, it's going to go into your reins and it's going to be into your riding. But you've got to improve your timing.
There you go. Timing. It's a big deal. Bonnie is watching, says, had a dog run under my mule on a narrow trail. Lily tripped and stepped on him. Glad she handled it well. Think my calmness helped my mule stay calm. There you go. There is no such thing as safe. There is only mitigating. That's it. Just mitigating disasters that could happen. But you can be prepared. Mitigating means be prepared, knowing how to communicate, herd leadership, and very good. Let's see here. Janet says she's using the rope halter. Very good. Lisa says, if I'm on a trail ride, loose dogs attack. Can I let my mule defend? Many news stories of dog attacks. Do we just let them go?
I wouldn't mind. If I got a dog going to attack me, I'll have my mule stomp a mud hole in him, not a problem. But I'm going to ride him right on top of that dog. A dog attacks me on my mule, I'm going to stomp a mud hole in him.
There you go. Become the pack leader right there.
Oh, boy.
Kathy says, listening on the road outside of Oklahoma City. Beautiful day. Kathy, thank you so much for sharing some of your time. And a matter of fact, this is a good time to remind folks. We get lots of new folks every single week. And so if this is your first time watching, I just want to say thank you and welcome. My name is Dave, and this is Steve Edwards. Every week we do this on Wednesdays for an hour. So if you're watching, please put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like in the comment section. We want to know that you're here. Ask any and every question that you've got, mule question that you've got. We'll get it answered for you. And make sure you share this broadcast. If you're on Facebook, type the @ symbol, type a person's name, tag them in it, or just click the share button, share it to your wall, tell folks what you like. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and make sure to thumbs up this video so other folks find it. Let's see here. What does a mule or donkey find truly reinforcing? Is it only a release of pressure? Now, Steve, a lot of folks will say that's abuse. You're using pain to train them. Talk to us a little bit about it.
So did the mare when she spun and kicked the mule because the mule didn't do what she told him to do. That is natural. What you are saying there is unnatural when it comes down to creating uncomfortable. You want to call it pain? Yeah, it's pain when you get spun and get kicked by another animal, or it's pain like the one donkey who rears up in the air and tries to paw at the lady. She's going to get pain. So if you don't create that situation, you're going to be up a creek. Yeah, you're going to have to make them uncomfortable, and that's part of life when it comes to being an equine.
Yep. Not dogs, not cats, equine. And there's a lot of folks out there just don't know better, and they judge a book by its cover, and they don't spend time riding. They don't spend time caring for one of these animals. They like to sit on their couch and just kind of call it like they see it. And we challenge anybody to come out, spend time with us during any of our expos or clinics, and we will educate you on how you can care for these animals the way they were intended to be cared for. Within their pack, you can do it within their herd, you can do it as the herd leader. So we would invite anybody to that. Let's see here. Hannah says, is that in your starting kit? Starting kit comes with rope halter, come along rope, and Problem Mule Building a New Foundation video. Again, recommend you get that. If you don't have it, get it. It's going to be huge. You go back and watch any of these live stream videos in the chat section, you're going to hear people saying all the time, the come along rope did it for them. And you can do the same thing. You
Yep.
can achieve the same thing. Let's see here. Lane is watching. Do mules need a breast collar, Steve?
Yes, absolutely. Understand, folks, that if I'm packing freight, I have dead weight on there. And as you go down the trail, yes, yes, and yes, the cinches do loosen up. So the purpose of an adjusted breast collar correctly and the purpose of an adjusted breeching correctly help keep the saddle balanced and in the center, okay? Because there's nobody on the mule's back when you're packing freight, and that breast collar helps keep the saddle from going back. Now, I can tell you this, that on the way at the Grand Canyon, on the way down, we took the breast collar and put it to one side. On the way up, we took the breeching up and put the breeching out of the way because we didn't need it, and we adjusted the breast collar to use it because we're going uphill. You see? So going uphill, that breast collar helps it keep it in place. Now, if you're using a horse breast collar, what's a horse breast collar? If you've got one that is tied in hard and fast to loops on the saddle where you tie it in, or if you do what they call a pulling collar up on the pommel, those two breast collars are going to fight you because all the time they're going to be pulling the saddle, pulling the saddle, pulling the saddle. That's why I developed my breast collar so that it would keep from pulling the saddle. And we got a video someplace, don't we, Dave, of showing the breast collar, how it's used and this sort of thing?
Yeah, we do. Matter of fact, all of the pieces work together. So a lot of times folks will say, well, I got your saddle, Steve. It's not working. And so we'll say, okay, well, let's go back. Are you using a Britchen? No, I'm using a Crooper. Okay, there you go. There's something right there. Are you riding with two cinches, loose in the front, snug in the back? No, I'm just riding with one cinch up front. Okay, there's another thing right there. Are you using a breast collar that flows with the animal's stride, or is it a pulling collar? I'm using my horse collar. Well, there you go right there. All these things work together, and in the mule saddle training course, you'll see how they work together to give you 1.5 inches of movement of space in the front, 1.5 inches of space in the back, and that way it moves accordingly to the strides of the animal. Did I get that right, Steve?
You did good, buddy. You did good. You did awesome.
I've picked up a couple things listening to you here.
Hey,
sure. So I'm going to show Queen Valley Mule Ranch breast collar. I'm going to put a link to a YouTube video that we did. It's got a few thousand views. Folks, come and check it out. Breast collar movement. And this will show you exactly what it is you want to look for in your breast collar. You can go out there, try and find someone else who figured it out, or you can just use Steve's and know that it'll work. Let's see here. Next question. This one came in on Facebook. This was a message that got sent last week towards the end. Says installing. Oh, and it was a follow-up. It was all about getting center of the hoof. Just having a hard time getting close enough to install a rope halter, installing a come-along rope. It's getting close enough to install it. She got out the other day. Took me almost an hour to get her back. She's in a pen, and I catch her and tie her to a hay net in a different pen every day. We've been doing this for months, and she still runs if you come into the pen. Granted, it takes a lot less time than before, but she got out. No amount of chasing was going to have her turn towards me. She stuck her nose off to the side, merely bolted around. She eventually ran back to her pen, so I never did catch her outside of it. What would you say there, Steve?
Well, number one, we don't want the mule to come to us. Don't do that. That's horse techniques, okay? We want to teach the mule to go to them. Now, you will see in my video, on how-to video, in the very beginning, you'll see a lady that is having a hard time catching a mule. And you'll see what I do. Basically what I do, I'm the herd leader. I come into the herd, I demand respect. That mule is looking at me, I will start walking toward the shoulder. That mule looks away from me, I will stop and I'll move to one side. Don't keep going. If that mule takes off running, fine. You make a big deal of it. You hoot, you holler, you slap your legs, and you keep her going in the direction you want her to go. You make her go. Hoot and holler. Okay, you want to go? All right, you're going to go until I want you to stop. Now, You both kind of got to work together here. If that mule is going around you clockwise, and all of a sudden you see at one part of this movement around here, you see this mule moving ear towards you, and it does it 3 times in one spot, that's the place the mule says, I feel comfortable right here. I'd like to stop right there. Step toward the nose, step toward the shoulder, which is stop at the nose, step toward the shoulder, neutral zone, and she stops and slows down. Start working your way toward the shoulder, okay? You can start working your way. If she takes off again, hoot and holler, make her go. Make her go. Don't sneak up on like it's okay, Fluffy. I'm a mountain lion. I'm coming up on you, and you put your hand out. Don't do that. No. You're the herd leader. This mule decides to take off. You are going to make that sucker keep on running. And do you want to be in a safe pen too, folks? You want a good, safe pen, okay? Good, safe pen. Now, Dave, just as a reminder here, I got to cut right out at 4 o'clock because I got a fire to go to.
Okay, we'll hustle through here. Next question. Let's see here. This one came in from Kathy. She asked the question last week, how do I clean my Queen Valley Mule Ranch saddle pad? And we said use Lexol the cleaner. No. Lexol the detergent?
No.
Oh.
If we're cleaning a saddle pad, we're going to use you're going to use some Windex.
Okay. Was the saddle Lexol?
The saddle is Lexol. Yes.
Got it. Okay. So the Trail Light saddle, you use the Lexol, and the saddle pad, you're going to use Windex and just spray it down with Windex?
Yeah, and wipe it down. And always set it, don't put it on top of your saddle necessarily because of salts, but hang it on something so that it stays its form. Don't hang it. If you put it in, you get a good chance of it. So that it sits form.
Okay, cool. It got choppy there for a second, Steve.
Sorry.
Let's see here. Michelle is watching from Belgium. We've gone international again. Sherman is watching. We've got about 7 minutes here. We'll see if we can get all these questions. The mule, it's Oklahoma, 72 degrees. Mule is doing great on the ground. Got her side passing, turning on the hind front quarters, but can't get her to do as much in the saddle off the legs. Should I implement the spurs, Steve?
Yes. Never climb on one and try to teach them side pass, turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters without a spur, okay? You used your thumb evidently at one time or another to get them to go over. That was your spur. Now, again, we're not going to harpoon. We're going to ask with our calf. We're going to tail with the side of our stirrup, and then we're going to bump them with the spur. That's enough, okay? And it should do the trick. Now, if you want to do that on the ground to start with, to do your groundwork with the come-along hitch in one hand and use your spur in the other, yeah. But here's the deal. If you're doing it on the ground, doing it good, then there's something wrong with the way you are communicating from the saddle to the stirrup.
Is there any video that you might recommend for Sherman to take a look at when we're talking about, is that basic equitation, or is there something else?
Basic equitation is probably about the best place to do that. In a lot of my videos, like we just did this clinic, a lot of that I talked about there, and then my other video, what we did 4 or 5 years ago, in that other clinic where we talked about using spurs and getting them to do different things. Yep.
Okay. All right. I'll put a link to basic equitation. Yolanda says, yeah, the unofficial Queen Valley Mule Ranch promoter in the Netherlands, Europe, probably the only one in this whole country. I would say probably the only one in the whole continent that is as dedicated as you are, Yolanda. I'm just going to give you another international just cuz. Bill is watching, says they will spook at something eventually. Hang on, it might be the best ride you ever had. There you go. Let's see here. Linda says, sorry I missed y'all last week. I was in Pennsylvania visiting my mama. Happy to visit her, but I missed Theo, Steve, and Dave. Well, we're glad back. I bet your mom was glad last week. We're glad to have you back this week. Janice is watching. Ray actually is watching on Janice's account from Georgia. What do you feed your mule? Ray, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a link in the comments section to Steve talked all about this, as a matter of fact, with James Weatherford, who at the time was working with Lake and Light, and the two of them went through and talked everything that you need to know about creating a nutrition program. So I'm going to put that in there. The long and short of it is you want to keep your animal in a pen, isolated from the others so you can monitor what they're getting, vitamins, minerals, and amount. You feed to use. We like a good pellet, and if you're going to feed hay, then you want to get hay, not the first cut, not the second cut, but the third cut. And you want to buy as much as you can for the whole season because it's going to be different all throughout the year. So that's the long end of the short of it. Steve, did I get that right?
You did awesome, buddy.
I'm learning.
Yes, you
some
are.
things here.
Yeah.
Let's
doing
see
awesome.
here. Angelia says, I have a question, Steve. I think Angelia says she's brand new to the mule world. So welcome. I got my breast collar and breeching in the other day, and I think it's way too big for my Hinny. Can the straps be cut down, or do I need smaller equipment?
Yes, you do. You can cut your straps down and you can punch holes. Angelina, I used to take and tell me these are the measurements. So I'd do it according to the measurements. Well, then all of a sudden it was too big, it was too small. So now what I did is on the breast collar, that one breast collar, I can put it on a 17-hand Percheron mule, or I could put it down on a 13-2 Welch pony mule. The breeching, I've got two different breechings, and there's only 2 inches difference with that. So you got 2 inches on each side. So here's the deal, all right, and keep this in your mind. Anytime all you have to do is punch some holes with your hole punch, and then you can adjust it accordingly. And then if you want to cut straps off, you can.
Awesome. All right, let's wrap up these questions here. Taylor says Taylor's watching from Huntington Beach, California, bought the bundle package, excited to work through it, have a 6-year-old mule. How would you recommend starting the desensitizing process to all things? He is scared of water bottles. How would you start that process? Is it the same things for all things if they feel scary? Steve, give us the 30, because that problem mule building a new foundation video is going to be what you want to watch, Taylor. We're going to cover it better there than we could just talking about it here. 30 seconds, Steve.
Okay, so basically follow what I do on that problem mule building a new foundation. Don't just say, okay, I'm going to start desensitizing with the bottles. No, folks. Until you can do it like we do it in that video, don't do anything else. Don't go in a straight line. Don't desensitize. I hate that word anyway. It don't work, which we've already talked about. So do the work on there. Happy trails, everybody. We'll see you.
All right, that's it. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. Take care. Make sure that you go to muleranch.com. If you got any questions that we didn't get to today, send us a message. Support@muleranch.com. Steve, get at it.
I got to go get a fire.
Bye, everyone.